The smell hits before you even see the food. Bacon in a kitchen, burgers on a backyard grill, brisket smoke drifting over a parking lot before a football game. You may not even be hungry, and still your brain turns its head. It is almost embarrassing how fast it happens. We usually explain this in the simplest way. Meat tastes good, fat tastes good, people like food that tastes good. Fair enough. But that answer feels too small. A lot of things taste good. Meat and fat do something else. They feel important. They feel like the main event. That reaction did not begin with diners, steakhouses, drive-through windows, or game day commercials. It likely began in a much rougher world, long before anyone had a refrigerator, a grocery store, or a reliable next meal. For most of human history, food was not a lifestyle choice. Food was the problem. You had to find it, carry it, protect it, share it, and hope your body could turn it into enough energy to keep going. In that world, a rich piece of meat or a pocket of fat was not an indulgence. It was a serious opportunity. And the body pays attention to opportunities like that. Picture an early human standing in open country. No claws, no fangs, not especially fast, not built to graze all day on grass, and not built with the chewing power of the great apes. At the same time, the human body was becoming expensive to run. Bigger brains cost energy. Walking farther costs energy. Pregnancy, nursing, healing, staying warm, watching for danger, all of it costs energy. So the question was never, what food is interesting? The question was, what food is worth the effort? Meat answered that question in a way leaves could not. Fat answered it even louder. This does not mean our ancestors sat around eating giant steaks every night. That is the cartoon version, and it is probably wrong. Early humans ate whatever their landscapes made possible. Plants mattered. Tubers mattered. Shellfish, insects, eggs, fruit, seeds, fish, and scavenged leftovers could all matter depending on where you lived. But meat and fat had one advantage that is hard to ignore: energy density. A small amount could carry a lot of calories. And in a world where meals were uncertain, that mattered. One of the most interesting possibilities is that early humans learned to go after the parts other animals left behind. Big predators could tear muscle from a carcass. Vultures and smaller scavengers could pick at what remained. But marrow was locked inside the bone. To reach it, you needed the right stone, the right angle, and the willingness to do a little work. Crack the bone, and suddenly the leftovers were not leftovers anymore. Inside was fat-rich marrow, soft, dense, protected. To a hungry animal with tools, that was not trash. That was buried treasure. There is something almost strange about that image. Before the fancy restaurants, before smoked ribs and cheeseburgers and holiday roasts, part of the human taste for richness may have been shaped by someone crouched over a broken bone, trying to get at the last good calories another animal missed. That sounds grim, but it is also very human. We are the species that looks at a problem and thinks, there is still something useful in there. Fat would have been especially valuable because it gives the body a lot of energy in a compact form. It also changes food in ways the brain learns quickly. Fat carries smell. It gives meat its juiciness. It makes broth feel fuller. It turns a dry bite into something the mouth wants to keep around for another second. Sugar grabs attention fast. Fat works differently. It is slower. It hangs around. It makes food feel complete. That is one reason a grilled burger with a little char and melted cheese feels different from plain lean meat. It is not one flavor doing the work. It is heat, salt, aroma, browned protein, soft fat, and memory all arriving together. Then there is umami, that savory depth people describe as meaty or brothy. It shows up in meat, stock, mushrooms, aged cheese, tomatoes, soy sauce, and fermented foods. Scientists often describe umami as one signal that protein may be nearby. That does not mean your tongue is running a nutrition spreadsheet. It means your senses are giving the brain a clue. This food may be worth eating. Put fat and umami together, then add smoke or seared edges, and the signal gets hard to ignore. A barbecue pit does not need a billboard. The smell does most of the advertising. But meat was never just a nutrient package. Getting it could be risky. A carcass might attract predators. A hunt could injure someone. Another group might want the same animal. Even scavenging required timing and nerve. That risk may be part of why meat became an event. If the group got access to a large animal, the food had to be divided. People gathered. They watched each other. They remembered who shared and who did not. Food became part of trust. You can still see a faint version of that in American life. A cookout is not only about protein. Thanksgiving turkey is not only about calories. A rack of ribs can carry a whole regional identity. Wings on game day are basically a ritual at this point. Even people who do not eat meat know the social force around it. Meat often sits near celebration, comfort, argument, and belonging. That does not prove some perfect ancient tradition survived unchanged. Culture changes everything. Marketing changes everything. Money changes everything. Still, the emotional charge around meat is not random. Foods that once meant rare energy can become foods that mean family, status, reward, or home. Then fire made the signal stronger. Cooking changed what humans could get from food. Heat can make some foods easier to chew and digest. It can soften connective tissue in meat, release aromas, and help the body access energy with less work. Cooking helped plants too, which is important. Human evolution was not a simple story of meat made us human. It was more flexible than that. A better way to say it is this: humans became very good at making food easier for human bodies to use. We cut it, pound it, cook it, smoke it, dry it, ferment it, season it, store it. We push part of digestion outside the body before the food ever reaches the mouth. That matters because the human digestive system is not built like a cow's. We do not stand in a field turning grass into dinner. We need foods that give us useful energy without forcing the body to spend all day chewing and fermenting. Cooking and processing helped solve that problem. Meat and fat became especially powerful in that world because heat makes them loud. Not loud in sound, loud in smell. Think about butter hitting a hot pan, or fat dripping onto charcoal, or the browned crust on a steak. Before you taste anything, your brain is already making a prediction. Rich food is close. Dense energy is close. Pay attention. For an ancestor living with scarcity, that response was useful. Ignoring calorie-rich food was not a virtue. It was a missed chance. Now put that same ancient response in modern America. The old appetite was shaped for long walks, uncertain meals, cold nights, and real physical work. Today it meets grocery aisles, delivery apps, gas station snacks, fast food signs, sports bars, freezer pizzas, and commercials shot to make melted cheese look like a natural disaster. The signal that once meant this may be your best meal all week now appears on every other block. That is where the mismatch begins. The craving itself is not stupid. It made sense in the world that shaped it. A fatty meal could help fuel movement, warmth, recovery, pregnancy, nursing, and survival through a bad stretch. In that setting, the body had good reason to treat dense food like a big deal. The problem is that the body did not get a software update when food became cheap, constant, and engineered to be irresistible. Modern food can stack the old signals in ways nature rarely did. Fat, salt, starch, crunch, sweetness, smoke flavor, soft texture, huge portions, bright packaging, and instant access. Your brain reads the stack and says, "This matters." The modern environment replies, "Great, here is another one." That does not mean people are helpless. It does mean the craving is not simply a character flaw. It is biology meeting abundance, and abundance usually wins if you never notice the game being played. There is another layer too: status. For a long time, meat was not equally available to everyone. In many societies, it marked wealth, celebration, rank, or luck. Even today, certain meals feel earned. A steak after a promotion, barbecue that took 12 hours to cook, a holiday roast in the center of the table. These foods carry more than taste. They carry a little story about effort and occasion. That is why debates about meat get intense so quickly. People are not only debating nutrition, they are debating tradition, identity, family memories, ethics, climate, masculinity, class, religion, region, and freedom. Put all of that on a plate, and of course dinner gets complicated. It is also why the simple evolutionary story can be misleading if we push it too far. Humans did not evolve one correct diet. We evolved flexibility. Some groups relied heavily on animal foods. Others leaned more on plants, fish, grains, tubers, dairy, or seasonal mixtures. The point is not that meat is magic. The point is that humans became very good at finding energy wherever they could, then turning it into something edible. Still, the pull of meat and fat tells us something about ourselves. When ribs come off a smoker, when cheese bubbles on a pizza, when bacon wakes up a kitchen, the body is not only reacting to flavor, it is reacting to clues. Energy, warmth, safety, reward, memory, maybe even belonging. That is why these foods can feel personal. A burger can mean a road trip. Fried chicken can mean somebody's kitchen. Bacon can mean Sunday morning. Barbecue can mean Texas, Kansas City, Memphis, the Carolinas, or just a folding chair in somebody's backyard. The biology may light the match, but culture decides what burns. So why are humans so obsessed with meat and fat? Because for a very long time, they helped answer the body's hardest question. Where is the energy, and is it worth going after? Sometimes the answer was marrow inside a cracked bone. Sometimes it was roasted meat near a fire. Sometimes it was a shared meal after danger, cold, hunger, or work. The modern version may be a burger wrapper or a tray of wings, but the old signal is still there underneath. Your reaction to that smell is not random. It is an old survival system waking up in a world it was never designed to understand. Once, that system helped people notice rare energy. Now it has to navigate supermarkets, fast food, delivery apps, and food that has been built to press every ancient button at once. In the past, the craving may have helped keep people alive. Today, it leaves us with a stranger problem. What do you do with a body that still treats rich food like a rare chance when the next chance is always waiting? And if there is one food you find almost impossible to ignore, what is it really giving you? Taste, comfort, memory, or the old promise that for a little while you will have enough?